All right, we're back. We're going to quickly go over chapters 4 through 8 in assessment for the test. So we're just doing chapters 4 through 8, going over really quick the highlights. Okay, we're going to start with assessment because I already have the pictures up for this. I want you to start your assessment by thinking of big to small. So we're going to get the big picture of the patient to a smaller picture of the patient. All right, and by that I mean first you can have your general assessment. That's I'm watching the patient walk in through the door, and I can assess that he took a shower today, brushed his hair, may or may not have brushed his teeth. So that's your general assessment. Then you're going to move to vitals. So you do general, then you do vitals, and then you do skin. Okay, so big, small. From there, you're going to go from the head, on top of the head, you're going to do the overall face. Then you're going to do your eyes, your ears, your mouth, your neck with range of motion. The book has listed spine or your spinal muscles from there. The book also has listed shoulders and then arms, but either way, it's going downwards. So you would do shoulders before you do arms, and you're going to assess range of motion. 14 is breast, 15 is chest. Again, so we're going head, face, eyes, ears, mouth, neck, and the spine, because as we turn our neck in range of motion, which is something also you're going to check, you might know something with the spine. Shoulders, if you're going to assess it, followed by arms, chest, breast, and then chest. Alright, so again, top to bottom, that's all it is. And from your general to your more specific areas. Alright, now you're going to also go from anterior to posterior or front to back. And you're going to start by checking the axillary, and you're going to have the patient raise their arms up over their head. You're going to assess the heart, and then you're going to move to the back. And you'll assess the chest, the spine, and the costovertebral angle. So your costovertebral angle. That's kind of fun to say. Alright, big to small, top to bottom, front to back. Too easy. Alright, now I'm going to lay down. When you're assessing a patient from laying down, I want you to think, I have no better way of describing this, but think about like a teenage boy. So he's going to start off with the breast. Alright, so you start off with the breast. Alright, after that, then you do your top to bottom. And that includes your neck. So you're going from your neck to your chest. Alright, and of course your chest starts up here. Then you go to heart. Then you're going to go to abdominal. And from abdominal to groin. And from groin, you're going to shin and ankles. And you're going to be assessing range of motion as well. Okay, so one more time. Little boy, teenage boy, you're going to go to breast. Then you're going to start from the top to bottom. You're going from neck. Then you're going to chest. Then you're going to go to heart. Then you're going to go to your abdominals, groin, shins, ankles. Okay, so that's sitting and laying down. And again, standing, you're going to assess your spine, your gait, and your balance. And you're moving from the patient's right-hand side. So that is how you're going to do it, or the recommendation to assess. There's other ways to assess, of course. That's the very basic way to assess. And as long as you're incorporating all of the areas, that's really your primary thing. Okay, so let's go back, starting from chapter 5, now that we've got that done. Alright, so chapter 5. Chapter 5 is your cultural and spiritual chapter, I guess you could say. Alright, so chapter 5. Alright, things we want to hit on. Cultural assessment. So cultural assessment is unfortunately not clear cut, but cultural assessment is you're going to assess the patient using a variety of skills. Under cultural assessment, you will find cultural competence, and I'll expand on that in a second. Cultural competence, cultural humility, and the concept. But anyways, so cultural assessment basically is an assessment of culture. And under cultural assessment, you'll find cultural competence and cultural humility. Cultural competence is the skills of a nurse to be able to treat a patient from a different type of culture, right? And again, culture is broadly defined as just a group of people that have the same beliefs or value systems. And again, it's very broad. It could be that a culture of, somebody from West Virginia versus a culture of somebody from California. So it doesn't necessarily mean ethnicity. All right, cultural competence. At the basics of it, it means being aware of being aware of cultural differences, acquiring cultural skills, and then wanting to encounter people from a different culture. Now you can look at this a little bit more defined as taking the time to learn different cultures. So you're going to learn a different culture. You're going to become skilled in assessing and be aware of those cultural differences as it relates to medicine or stages of health. So that's cultural competence, and that's from the North. Now, cultural humility is another way of being culturally competent, or being able to work with a patient that is of a different culture. And that means that you're going to commit to being a lifelong learner. You're going to constantly assess yourself and make sure that you're not doing stereotyping. So lifelong learner, self-assess or reflection here. Alright, so how am I acting? What are my thoughts? And critiquing myself. Alright, did I do it properly? Did I integrate the cultural beliefs properly? Did I ask patients the right things? Alright, so culture humility is the lifelong learning by reflection, critical analyzation, and critique of your own actions. Critical competence deals with awareness, skill, and encounters. Alright, learning to work with different cultures. Alright, so that is cultural competence. The other one that we hit on is your assessment of spirituality and spirituality in the human experience, and basically just broadly defined as whatever gives life meaning. Alright, so whatever you find that's important to you gives life meaning or provides strength, and it's a human experience, so it doesn't matter if you're religious or non-religious. But as it relates to the schools, we're going to assess the patient by the concept of God. How is God important to you? What do you believe about God? What things do you feel about God? So concept of God or deity, source of hope and strength. So again, not necessarily related to God, but things that a person finds hope and strength in. And of course, there's several different other ones under each of these, but concept of God, and then the questions surrounding the concept of God. So sources of hope, questions that affect the sources of hope. So you're wanting to get more information on that. Religious practices, do you go to church? Do you really need special things? Do you fast on Sundays? Do you not eat hot and cold meats, whatever the case may be? Or it's spiritual beliefs. What's going to happen when you die? Are you paying for your sin? Do you have to ask for forgiveness or repentance? Alright, spiritual belief on health. Alright, so maybe it's God's will that you die. Maybe you need to die naturally. Maybe you're paying for your sins. Whatever the case may be. Alright, that's your spiritual belief. So ask about concepts of God. Figure out what their source of hope and strength is. Whatever religious practices they do, maybe they fast, maybe they do something else. Their spiritual belief on health, maybe they don't want to be resuscitated, maybe they believe that they're paying for their sins, whatever the case may be, okay? So their spiritual belief on health. And that's as it relates to Stroll's assessment of spirituality. Right, and that's for chapter 5. Chapter 6 is the beginning of your physical assessment. Alright, so that's your exam. Alright, and in preparing for the exam, it's a lot like preparing for the interview. Remember, alright, so you want to reflect on your approach. How am I going to approach this patient? Do I know something about this patient? Maybe I need to prepare for an emotional patient. Maybe I need to approach the patient using cultural competence, whatever it is. Alright, so You're going to adjust lighting, and that's that phangeal lighting, the lighting from above. You want to make sure that the patient is comfortable, and whether that means you spend extra time with the patient or make sure that you're drinking the patient, providing privacy. You're going to check equipment. Don't go in there with broken stethoscope and broken blood pressure cover, and then blood pressure cuff, and then keep leaving the room. Alright, so check equipment. Don't keep leaving and coming back because the patient is anxious and you waste your time. And then choose a sequence of your exam. Remember, we just went over the top to bottom, general to more specific, anterior to front, but there is other, anterior to posterior, I should say. There is other ways of assessing, so figure out how you're going to assess the patient and what's going to work best for the patient. Alright, so that's preparing for the exam. Reflect, adjust lighting, phangeal lighting, make sure you're draping patients, spend extra time with the patient if needed, check equipment, it should be serviceable, and then your sequence of examination. Alright. Okay, so the rest of chapter 6, that's your cardinal milk techniques, that's your IPPA. I guess it's a year, I didn't know that. IPPA. Alright, so basically it looks like this. You're gonna, these cardinal techniques are the ways you're going to assess something. So you're going to assess something by inspection, or looking at it. Then you're going to go to palpation, that means that I'm pressing on it. Then I'm going to go to percussion. And then I'm going to go to listening or auscultation. The only time this does not work is when you're doing the abdominals and it's all backwards. So basically I see I, and then I go PA, which, and then PE, so the alphabetical order, and then, well, A of course is last, but that's PA and then PE. Alright, for your abdominals, it's backwards, and we're going to inspect first. Alright, and then because of peristalsis and palpitation, similar to balance downs, you want to listen first, so auscultate, followed by percuss. And the reason why we're going to percuss before we palpitate is because if we percuss and we realize the patient is pain, we probably should not do palpitation. Alright, so inspect, auscultate, percuss, palpitate for abdomen only. Everything else is IPPA. Okay, so let's make sure we hit everything. Alright, good. Chapter 7. Chapter 7 is going to deal with more exam stuff, but as it relates to general survey, vitals, and pain. Chapter 7, exam. In that general survey is your initial first observation, look at the patient. Alright, just to make sure we hit that. The pain. The pain is of several different ones. First of all, it's either acute or chronic. And chronic, when we use the term chronic, 99% of the times it means 3 months. In this case, it means 3 months to 6 months. But usually it always means 3. Anyhow, so pain is either acute or chronic, okay? From there, you can further classify it into either nociceptor or somatic. Alright, nociceptor or somatic, and that is caused by tissue damage. You also have neuropathic pain, and that's from the nervous system, and that is going to be either from your PNS, your peripheral nervous system, or your central nervous system. So something to do with the nerve. The nerve is pinched. So we have tissue damage, we have the pinched nerves or inflammation of the PNS or CNS. Shingles is one example. But anyways, alright, so you have somatic or nociceptor, you have neuro, and then our other one is I love this word too. These are psycho or idiopathic. I love the word idiopathic because if you can't figure out what causes something, you're an idiot. Alright, that's just the way I remember it. So if you can't figure out what causes it, you're an idiot. That means it's idiopathic. So we don't know where the source of this is coming from. And again, pain is whatever the patient perceives it to be. It's a vital sign. Pain is either acute or chronic. You have tissue damage pain. You have something that relates to CNS or PNS or neural pain. Then you have your cyclo or idiopathic, which we can't figure out the source for. Alright, let's look at the 4A's. The 4A's for pain. That is our little way of remembering how to assess for pain. So we have analgesic, pain medicine. Like I said, we have 4A's. So we have analgesic, or your pain medicine. We have adverse effects. What's pain causing? Adverse effects. Alright. And then you have your abnormal reactions, or your sorry, I keep blocking that. Your abnormal reactions, or your, I'm trying to find the word, aberrant drug related behaviors. Alright, so these are abnormal behaviors related to drugs that you're given. Alright, so analgesic, and then activities, or ADLs, I should have mentioned ADLs. Alright, so we have what medication, analgesic, what's the adverse effect of the pain, or any adverse reactions, how's it in fact impacting your ADLs, can you not get up, can you not run, can you not get out of bed, and then you have your awkward aberrant drug behavior, okay? So those are your 4A's. Show you everything. Yep. Oh, no, blood pressures. Alright, so BPs were the other ones. Alright, so when we're doing BPs, we need to make sure we have the right cuff. We need to make sure a couple of things. One, patient should be sitting down for 5 minutes or more in a perfect world. Feet flat on the ground, don't cross your legs, try and get them not to smoke or drink caffeine before. Quiet setting, alright, so that way you can make sure that you're not getting really high elevated. And then we really have that right coat syndrome as well. Now, when you're looking at your blood pressure cuff, it should be about 40% of the limb. The bladder should almost be able to encircle your arm, or the appendage, usually your arm. So 40% of extremity. The bladder should almost encircle the arm, because you have a part that inflates, and then parts that just stick up. Feet flat on the floor, I already mentioned that. 40% of limb. Okay, you want to make sure that when you start hitting that boom, 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 you should hit that second beat when you start counting, okay? Because sometimes you misheard, or it might be irregular. Second beat is when you start counting. So we know 5 minutes of cross beat, no smoking, no drinking before, 5 minutes of rest, and no chair. So 2 beats. And make sure that your bladder is over, and that's the inflatable part, is over that particular artery. And of course, we all know that on our blood pressure cuff, there's this little arrow that says artery, and that's what you put on the particular artery. So, whatever. Alright. Now, false readings. Okay, so false high. What would cause a false high? So false highs can be caused by a blood pressure cuff that's too small. Right, too small. It can be caused when the arm is below the heart. The body has to work harder, so arm below heart, or when the arm is not supported. No support. Alright, so arm below heart, arm not supported. If the blood pressure cuff is loose or uneven. Alright. Oh, and also deflate, of course, deflating too slowly, but they'll give you an ugly look if you do that. So, deflating too slowly. If you're deflating too slowly, you're going to get a high false reading. Alright. Now, high, low, or false low reading. False low readings can be caused by, obviously, if the cuff is too small and it causes a false high, then a cuff being too large is going to cause a false low. So false low reading, too big of a cuff. Repeating it, like measure it, like you keep trying over and over and over again, that will cause a false low. You'll also have, if you If you smash your stethoscope on it and cut off blood circulation, you're gonna have false low, so don't do that. And underinflation. So underinflation. So if it's the false low is caused from too big of a cuff, repeated measurements, underinflation, you smashing your stethoscope on there. Let's make sure I'm not Nope, that's it. Alright, so that is chapter 7. Chapter 8 is really short because we already did that. But chapter 8, and that has to do with nutrition, which is why we're not really going over it. But the one thing that I do remember saying was 35 and 40. These are your waist measurements, and it puts you at additional risk for health factors of cardiovascular disease, hypertension, all that fun stuff. Sorry, my dog is flying. Alright, so 35 for women, 40 for males. Alright, and then again, those are your risks, additional risks for health impairments, usually cardiovascular disease, hyperlipidemia, I'm sure diabetes is in there. Alright. Now, the BMI. That was the other one. You don't have to calculate it, but you do need to know it. Basically, you have someone that's too skinny, underweight. You have someone that is normal. You have someone that's slightly got a few more pounds than they should, and they're overweight. Then you have somebody that is obese, and then of course you have my 600-pound life with the extreme obesity. Alright, extreme obesity. Okay, so here's how we remember this. So you're under, when you look at under, you're talking about 18.5 below. Let me just verify that one time. 18.5 or below. Alright, so from 18.5, my goodness, here. Hush. Alright, 18.5 or below, you're looking at underweight. And these are, you want to be thinking about anorexia, any eating disorders they might have, maybe they have an insulin issue, hyperthyroid. So those are the things we need to be assessing. And of course, all the information that we go through last semester is what we're going to hit on this semester. And I just want to verify one thing. Oh, I also want to tell you about BP this time. Okay. I did miss one thing on BP that I wanted to hit on. Okay, so the other thing, make sure that when you weigh somebody, you're going to weigh somebody at the same time of day. That's really important because you can gain or lose 5 pounds easily in a day. I do it about every day, based on your water. Make sure they're in the same clothes. Alright, so underweight, I was right about that. 18.5, your normal is going to be 24.9. Okay, here's what I want you to think. You have kids at 25 and you become slightly overweight. Okay, you gain a few pounds. So at 18, you're a little teenager, you're skinny. 18.5 to 24.9, you're normal. At 25, you have kids, and we all know that you gain a few pounds when you have kids. Alright, there's no turning back from there. Or rarely. Alright. At 30, your metabolism really starts slowing down. So you become, at this point, obese. And by the time that you are 40, your kids are teenagers. And if you know anything about teenagers, they're evil. And it causes you tons of stress. And you eat tons of Ho-Hos or cupcakes and my favorite, apple fritters. Alright, so at 40 you are now extremely obese. So here we are looking at these ones. So at 25 to 29, obviously, it's going to be overweight. Now I'm looking at these in percent, and I should have said that, but this is percent BMI. And so this is for 25% to 29%, 30 to 39%, 40, and there's no other place. I'm sure eventually we'll get in the category. But one more time, if you're 18, you're skinny. 18 to 25, you're normal. At 25, you have kids, you gain a few pounds. At 30, your metabolism slows down. At 40, you have teenagers, and they're evil, and they cause you stress. Alright, and you eat Ho-Hos for it. or whatever your comfort food is. Alright, so that's the way I remember BMI. And again, waist 35 for females, 40 for males, puts you at additional risk. And I wanted to show you this one thing because I'm pretty sure they're going to hit on it. I am horrible at this, and I shouldn't be. Alright, so basically your blood pressure normally is 120 over 80. Some texts refer to it as 60. But anyways, let's just say it's 120 over 80 until somebody tells me it's 60 again. Alright, so normally 120 over 80 is what we're looking for. Alright, it goes up in nines, okay, so 9 and 9. It goes up in nines. And remember that we have pre-hypertension, we have hypertension stage 1 and hypertension stage 2. And so here's where we go from this, okay? Now, this number is bigger, of course, so you're going to add on a 1. So we have 19 and 9. And each time we're going to go up a stage, we're going to add on this 19 and 9. So, anything above 120 over 80 is going to be pre-hypertension. So from this, our range will be 139 over 89. Alright, so 129 through 139 over 89 is pre-hypertension. Alright, now we're going to start here. We have 39 here, so 140 over 90 plus 19 and 9, your 9. Alright, puts you at what? 159 over 99. And of course, if you continue on with this, you will end up with really high blood pressure, okay? So those are your ways of assessing blood pressure. I just remember 19 and 9, and I just add on from there, okay? Anyways, that is the review of chapter 4 through 8. And the end of assessment for test 1.